Hey, it's Coach Reeves. Today we're going to talk about solving rational equations, okay? The easiest way I know how to do this, okay, is to multiply the common denominator to make the fractions go away. So most people have a phobia of fractions, so we're going to try to make the fractions disappear as soon as possible and then solve the remaining equation, okay? You're still going to have some extraneous solutions. All right, because you can't have things that make the denominator equal to 0. So that's still going to come into play. Remember how we found those excluded values? Sometimes we're going to call them extraneous solutions, okay? Because that solution could make my denominator equal to 0, and that's not good. All right, so first thing we're going to do, we need to figure out what our common denominator is. Let me bump this just a little bit lower, okay? So when we factor, okay, this has a greatest common factor of m plus 5. m plus 5. So if you look at this, this will be my common denominator, excuse me. This will be my common denominator. And this is what I want to multiply every term times that. Before we go too far, I want you to deal with this. I want you to change this to a plus sign and make that -1. All right, so here's what I'm asking you to do. Stay with me. I'm going to ask you to go m times m plus 5. m plus 5. m plus 5. Now, some teachers will not ask you to use the entire common denominator, but I don't want us to skip anything or to leave anything out, so we're going to do it this way, okay? So we're going to reduce, we're going to cancel the m's, and I'm left with 1 times m plus 1. 1 times m plus 5. 1 times m plus 5 is m plus 5. Here, the m's cancel, the m plus 5 cancels. All I'm left with is a -1. Equals. Here, the m's cancel, the m plus 5 cancels. I'm left with a 2. So when you multiply by the common denominator, the fraction will go away, and this is a much, much easier problem to solve. Okay? So what do I have? All right, I'm going to go 5 minus 1 is 4. So I have m plus 4 equals 2. Minus 4 minus 4, m equals -2. There is my solution, possibly. Look up here. Remember what our excluded values were. Our excluded values should have been m cannot be equal to 0. M cannot be equal to -5. That's good. This is a -2. It is neither one of those excluded values, so this is a good answer. I'm okay with this. Okay? A lot easier once we make the fractions go away. Let's try another one. All right, so, excuse me. We're going to factor. This is going to be 2 parentheses. My signs will be different. We're going to make p times p. We're going to we need to break down the -6. We're going to have to subtract because it's negative. I can use 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. We're going to use 2 and 3 because it's 1 apart. But I need it to be a negative, so the bigger number needs to go with the negative. There's my factored form. All right, so we need to have a common denominator. It turns out that p plus 2, p minus 3, both of these will make up my common denominator. So I need to multiply everyone times the common denominator. So I'm going to say p plus 2, p minus 3. P plus 2, p minus 3. P plus 2, p minus 3. And again, some teachers may show you the shortcut, but I'm going to make sure that we don't make any mistakes and leave something out. The p minus 3s are going to cancel. Let's go change colors. The p minus 3s are going to cancel. P plus 2 times 1 is p plus 2. P plus 2 cancels, p minus 3 cancels. I am left with a 2 plus p minus 3 cancels, p minus 3 cancels. I am left with p plus 2 times p plus 6. You're going to have to FOIL or box those. You're going to have to multiply those together. Okay? So this is going to give us, come over here to do it together. P times p is p squared. P times 6 is 6p. 2 times p is 2p. 2 times 6 is 12. We're going to combine like terms, and that's going to give me p squared plus 8p plus 12. Even though it's a little longer, there aren't any fractions, and this is a little easier to work. Okay? So we're going to combine like terms. I'm going to actually move everything this side. I'm going to move this to the other side. I'm going to say minus p. I'm going to say minus 2 minus 2. And that's going to leave me with a 0 on this side. I need to get everything to one side. Why? Because I have p squared, and I'm probably going to have to factor somehow, some way. All right, so 2 minus 2, this is going to cancel. So I'm left with p squared. 8p minus p is going to be 7p plus 12. We need to factor. But this is an easy problem to factor because you've done these so many times. We're going to break this into 2 parentheses. Signs are going to be the same. They're both going to be p's, and they're both going to be pluses. And we're going to use 3 and 4. And when you solve this, we're going to find out that this is going to give me a negative 3, and this is going to give me a negative 4. We need to see if those are good answers. Okay? The opposite, this was p plus 2. The opposite is a negative 2. P cannot equal negative 2. Over here, you have to take the opposite. P cannot equal a positive 3. That's good because we have negative 3, negative 4 as our choices. This is a positive 3, so we're okay. This is a good answer. Negative 3 and negative 4. Let's try one more, okay? A little bit more factoring, but we can do it, okay? So let's see what we have. We're going to have to use the box method here. But before we go too far, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to change this to a plus sign and distribute. I want to distribute that negative, okay? So when I box this or factor this, I'm going to put 2a squared plus 18 is going to give me a positive 36. It's positive, so we're going to add to find our combination. I have 1 and 36 2 and 18, 3 and 12. I'm going to stop there because that's the combination I want. 3 and 12 will give me 15. So I'm going to put a 3A and I'm going to put a 12A. And now we're going to look at, see what we have in common. I have an A in common. I have a 6 in common. I have a 2 and an A in common. And I have a 3. So when we factor this, this is going to be A plus 6, 2A plus 3. A plus 6, 2A plus 3. You okay? All right, so now, I don't need this anymore. We have factored. All right, so we have factored. And if you notice, my common denominator will pick up this A plus 6. So now we're going to multiply all three terms times the common denominator. A plus 6, 2A plus 3. A plus 6, 2A plus 3. A plus 6, 2A plus 3. This is going to cancel. This is going to cancel. I'm left with 3A squared. Plus. No, excuse me, that's going to be a minus. This is going to cancel. This is going to cancel. That's going to leave me with a negative 3A squared minus 9A equals. This is going to cancel. I distribute the 3 into the parentheses. 3 times 2A is 6A. 3 times 3 is a positive 9. So my fractions are gone. But look at this. Positive 3A minus 3A squared, those cancel. These are gone. I'm left with negative 9A equals 6A plus 9. Minus 6A minus 6A, negative 15A equals 9. I divide by negative 15. I divide by negative 15. And I get A equals, I reduce the fraction. 3 goes into 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into negative 15, negative 5 times. There's my answer, but we have to make sure it's a good answer. My factors were A plus 6, so A cannot equal a negative 6. 2A plus 3, A cannot equal a negative 3 over 2, which means this is a good answer. A negative 3/5 is my good answer, okay? So that's what it is. You need to determine what your common factor is, your common denominator is. Once you understand what your common denominator is, you multiply each term times the common denominator. It allows the fractions to go away. It is a much easier problem to solve. But once you solve it, you have to check to make sure that you don't have an extraneous solution. All right, do what you can. Make sure that you're okay. Do some practice problems. Don't just skip over them. If you have any questions, ask us. Good luck.